Is it possible that Antonio Brown actually shows us the one skill that we're going to need this year for 2022? Hey, it's Scott Beebe with Business on Purpose. Make sure to go check out the Healthy Owner Assessment. If you're a business owner between 2 and 50 employees, go to mybusinessonpurpose.com/healthy. Take a 7-minute assessment that'll be very, very helpful and very enlightening for you. On Sunday, January 2nd, 2022, a wildly talented wide receiver in the National Football League decided to remove his jersey and his shoulder patch, throw his shirt and gloves into the stands, and simply walk or jog across the field into the locker room, all while a National Football League game was being played. Throughout 2021, the world, and primarily the Western world, was subject to what has become known as the Great Resignation, a record number of people leaving their jobs for reasons not entirely known. Call it a reevaluation, or maybe it's a reset. We're not quite sure what it is, but we do know it was real and it really happened. Antonio Brown simply played out on a very public stage what many employers have seen privately in commercial kitchens, construction sites, and entertainment venues throughout the United States and other parts of the developed world. On the same day that Antonio Brown walked away from his work with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers professional football team, I also heard of another worker at a local entertainment establishment in our town walking off of their job mid-shift. No major announcement, no obvious incident. They just turned in their gear and walked away. Earlier in 2021, a client of ours had 2 significant office staff members leave in the middle of the day. If this is happening with reasonably well-run businesses, it's bound to be happening on a larger scale. We're in a season of culture where many seem to be in fight mode, fighting for this niche hope or this niche desire. Many of these fights are societal discussions that need to be had. In most cases, though, it's not the leaving that's the problem, but instead the fight method or the forethought or the lack of forethought that goes into it. We want things to change and yet find ourselves unwilling to go through the hard, long, patient work of change in favor of just abruptly walking out, assuming that it will fix things either with the organization or with ourselves. Don't get me wrong, there are times for abrupt leaving, but usually after many other steps have been exhausted. There is one skill, though, that stands in contrast to the walk-off mindset that could bring massive value to you, your business, your community, and your family. What's that skill? It's simply a 4-letter word: grit. Grit, defined, is courage and resolve, strength of character. Grit is a visible endurance of something that's not ideal, yet by enduring it can create a next-level maturity that, without the grit, simply is not achieved. It will be easy in the Antonio Brown situation to focus on the underlying conditions that were the catalyst for Brown using to exit his role, and then begin to put ourselves in jury mode in determining the validity of his grievance in contrast to the actions he took, and we either declare them right or wrong. Instead, maybe we should ask this: what opportunities were missed by not allowing grit to play a role in sticking it out through at least the end of the game, and then having a sit-down conversation without the cheap air support of a cryptic social media post? Grit is a face-to-face conversation. Grit is writing out the shift and then having a reasonable conversation. Grit is wading through emotion and objective reality. Grit is seeking wisdom before making a decision. Grit is putting in the reps and realizing there's no such thing as an overnight success. I recently read a book by author John Sowers, and in it, he had 3 words that struck me: hurry ruins everything. Hurry ruins everything. We are working so hard to get so much more and many times missing what is right in front of us. Remember this wisdom statement: to whom much is given, much is required. We work with a lot of people that have significant access to resources, and we can tell you from great experience that the ones who, quote, have it all, many times feel like it all has them. Many times we see anxiety increase with net worth. Grit is the gift of realizing that whether you have plenty or little, the gift is in being part of the team, being on the field, being in the arena. President Theodore Roosevelt had completed his 2 terms in office and was touring the world. He passed through Paris, France in 1910 and offered a speech entitled Citizenship in a Republic. It's come to be popularly known as Man in the Arena and was meant to refute a society that had become a collection of armchair quarterbacks instead of participants in real life. Roosevelt famously says, "It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit instead belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, and who at best knows in the end the triumph of his achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." As Antonio Brown theatrically left the arena, it was an interesting contrast to look back at the field of play and see 22 other men remain in the arena. 22 men, along with their coaches, although likely not perfectly happy in their skill set or their contract value or their team relationship, or maybe even in their family availability. They continued on in the arena, marred with the dust and sweat and blood, erring, coming short, and spending themselves in a worthy cause. You may have woken to a new year enthused with the opportunity that lie in wait, or you may have woken to a new year a bit dreadful of the striving that this year will require. Regardless, you have the opportunity to dare greatly, and by daring greatly to know victory or defeat, along with a soul that is full of warmth and courage. Grit will be the necessary skill of a new year. Again, start out, head on over to mybusinessonpurpose.com/healthy and make sure to take the 7-minute Healthiest Owner Assessment so you can start off your new year with an objective measure of where you're at so you can start to implement grit for a great new year.